After failing once more to achieve my childhood dream of owning a fire cape, I decided it was time for me to look towards greener pastures to work on achieving another one of my childhood dreams, to start a bake shop by hosting bake sales in RuneScape. With that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, girls, gays, and theys, allow me to welcome you to Bake Sale, a series where I take my level 3 BAKELOCKED account, Goth Baker, from level 1 cooking all the way to 99 cooking in order to throw the greatest bake sale this game has ever seen. Of course, this comes with its own set of rules, so before we dive into Lumbridge, allow me to explain them real quickly. Rule number 1. I must remain level 3 and I'm not allowed to gain combat experience. Rule number 2. I must remain level 1 in all skills other than cooking and I'm not allowed to gain experience in other skills. Rule number 3. I am only allowed to gain experience in cooking by making baked goods. Rule number 4, things like XP lamps and quest rewards are the only exception to rule number 3. Rule number 5, all baked goods must be sold in some kind of bake sale, aka a player trade, and not on the GE. Rule number 6, the GE cannot be used to purchase any ingredients for baking or required items needed for a quest. Rule number 7, the GE can, however, be used to buy utilities like potions, teleports, fashionscapes, rings of recoil, etc., but not food. And finally, rule number 8, to unlock the ability to make a food, I must first make the lowest tier food in that list. For example, in order to bake a chocolate cake requiring level 50, I must first successfully bake a regular cake requiring level 40. There is no exception to this rule. However, because of this rule, if an item is impossible to obtain and would greatly hinder the growth of the account, then I will be allowed to buy the problem ingredient by bartering with another player. This is to prevent the series from dying if I get stuck on an item or items that's simply impossible to acquire. Lastly, bartering for ingredients is allowed so long as the interaction is authentic and organic and is only permissible after an item is already unlocked. With all that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive right into where we left off in the previous episode. And so that was Children of the Sun, now done. Oh my gosh, I had no idea that there was a farming patch over here. Like, on my other account I have 92 farming. This is already really turning out to be a productive adventure, because like, I had no idea there are eggs over here. It's not on the wiki or anything, and I think this is closer to a bank, so we might have to try picking up eggs here. And there they are, the ashes that we need. Now I don't even know if these bandits are aggressive or anything, so I'm just gonna run in. And I should be fine to run out. Yep, just a 0. And we now have the ashes that we needed. Alright, so those ashes, of course, go into a drink called a Dirty Blast. And in order to make said Dirty Blast, we need a Fruit Blast. Now, the only way that I could see that I think I could actually get the Fruit Blast from is by trading this person some trading sticks. That, of course, means I have to kill things that give me trading sticks. And the only way that I can think to actually do that is with rings of recoil. Now, we're not going to go do it right now, but I will pick up some recoils in the meantime. So I actually decided against the recoils, and instead I'm just going to go ahead and pick up some teleports and use this money for other things. Like investing in a nifty chef's hat so that we can get into the Cooks Guild whenever we're actually 32 cooking. Now, I don't know if we'll really use the guild because there's a range over here, but why not? Now, because we have to travel so far to get the chef's hat, there's actually quite a few shops along the way that we can use the money that we saved from the recoils to buy some supplies. Like this shop here in Port Cerilius, I don't know how it's pronounced, but it has a bunch of the same stuff as the Port Cerium shop. And oh my gosh, I'm actually super excited to have found this shop because it has 8 pots of flour. That's 2.5 times as much as like the other shops, so that's going to save time in and of itself just getting 8 pots of flour at one time. They also have like other good stuff like a knife I still needed, and I want to collect teacups at some point, so I'm going to take this teacup as well. And I also ran into this area which has a bank like right next to these cooking ranges, so this might be where we train at. Yeah, I was worried I might not actually be able to cook here, so I went ahead and tried to cook some bread, and I have to do the diaries, which isn't happening. And here we are, the whole reason we walked all this way to the center of Kandarin to pick up a chef's hat, and I'm actually going to take a second one, just so we can, you know, stack it in the bank quite easily. Also pick up this cape for the fashionscape, but I think we're going to stick with the purple one for now. I like how it looks. Oh yeah, I really just could not stay away from this little shop in Insidious, and I completely overlooked the fact that it had pie dishes and cake tins as well, making this shop very, very useful for where we're at. Also, I do believe this is the closest wheat field to a mill in the entire game, so we're definitely going to pick up some pots of flour. I was trying to figure out if I wanted to keep doing the montage, and, well, we missed the level, but that's level 16 cooking. And that's 17 cooking. We can now cook lean snail. 18 cooking, meaning we could cook cod and wizard blizzards if we actually could cook it. There's 19 cooking. And there's 20 cooking, meaning we can now cook meat pies, which is another item on our list, except we need to figure out how to make meat without actually cooking the meat. So, yeah. I saw this other person with a chef's hat and a purple cape and a bow, and I just couldn't help but stand next to them, and now apparently I'm being sacrificed in the name of Sarah Doman. Like, seriously, what are the odds I just walk up and there's another person here wearing a very similar outfit? We even have similar hairstyles. Like, also, I just noticed, like, the attention to detail, like, they're all different colors of the rainbow, like white, black, red, blue, green, yellow, orange, purple, then back to white. What? Oh no. Oh no, I lost my friend, and I don't know how to just walk away, so I think I'm just gonna have to switch worlds. I think that's the only solution I have here. I just gotta get away from that, and everything will be okay. With all that madness aside, we were able to sell a whole bunch of red berry pies for 15k, because this person was being very generous, and wait, they want to try to... Oh no, they're trying to give me back the pies and more gold. Oh no, I don't feel good about this. I can't accept this. Like, they're not even in like that good of armor. Like, they're in like a rune chain body and stuff. Like, I feel like this is like an actual like new player. Oh, I think they think I'm like a super big noob, but I'm just trying to have some fun. Oh no, I don't know how to not accept it. I feel like I would just be rude to turn them down, so I'm gonna take it, but I don't feel good about this at all. Oh, I don't even want it. Oh. So in the event that that's like actually a new player and like a newer player and not like someone's alt, I just went ahead and got them like an Armadillo rune set, because yeah, I just wouldn't feel good if like that was like someone's like first account and they like worked really hard for that money, and like I'm just like playing around, you know, and I like take it, you know. I just wouldn't feel good about that at all. Yeah, so in the event of someone like overpaying for goods, which I imagine some people will for whatever reason, I'm just gonna spend that extra money on fashionscape as opposed to like items to advance the central plot, if you will. With that in mind, we're also going to go ahead and pick up an Amulet of the Damned, because I just think this amulet looks cool as hell, honestly. I also went ahead and picked up some more purple items because it just makes us look a lot more solid and well-rounded and balanced. Yeah, the more I look at it, I really like this simple look. I'm also going to go ahead and pick up some energy pots just so we can get around a little bit faster. Alright, if we die, we lose the Amulet of the Damned no matter what, so now that we got it, time to risk it all for absolutely no reason. Will there be someone here? And it looks like we're getting out scot-free with a free teleport back to our dome, which shout out to Framed for this one. And since we're going to need a rotten tomato for recipe for disaster, we're going to pick one up along the way. Now, of course, you probably already know where we were headed. It is the Tree Gnome Village. Now, this place will probably serve as our home for quite the next while because it has a ton of good supplies like swamp frog spawns and some shops. And let me tell you, these shops do not disappoint, like 50 of this dough stuff, and I really don't remember quite how gnome cooking works. I haven't done in so long, but we're just going to pick up some of these molds and see if it works out. And yeah, we have this book as well, so we'll just have to do a little bit of reading and digging to see how it works. And this is actually another spot that I learned about because of Framed and Soup with their like unusual moneymaker series where you can just come and pick up these toads and take out the legs and sell it for gold. Of course, we're going to be keeping it because we actually need it for the gnome cooking. And actually, if I remember correctly, you can actually, I believe, use these worms. So I'm going to pick up a lot of these worms too. I initially wasn't going to, but I think they're useful. Alright, and like I mentioned, you just basically spam click on these toads and you can pull off the legs, which are used in cooking. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and use my energy potions to help me pick up these toads because it takes quite a while, and I saw a little icon here that said a shop on the map, but I guess that was misleading because there's no one to trade over here. Alright, so I've also been doing a bunch of running back and forth between the shop to get supplies, and I went ahead and used some of that dough on these tins, and I realized that you can kind of stack them. So I've been buying a bunch of the molds as well, and like all the dough that we need. Did a few runs to pick up the frog legs and the worms so that we have plenty of supplies. Alright, now let's go ahead and try to figure out how this works. I'm just gonna skip through a few pages. And it looks like worm crunchies are the first thing on the list. So the lowest level food actually turned out to be toad crunchies. So fill a tray with gyani dough as normal, heat these briefly in the oven, mix into the dough balls 2 pairs of toad legs and a shake of gnome spice. Bake the crunchies for a short time in the oven, finish the crunchies with a sprinkling of aqua leaves. When Puckamy first made toad crunchies, everyone thought he was mad. Chewy toads and crunchies, it'll never work, they said. How wrong they were. Alright, so I went ahead and got an inventory as they kind of mentioned in the book, so I think this should work. I should just have to cook some of these raw crunchies on an oven, and then once we have a set, we can go ahead and use these toad legs on them, or maybe we use the spice. Try preparing the crunchy. So okay, so I just have to hit prepare and then create, and alright, so that's all we need, I guess, and I can just cook this again, and we now have the unfinished crunchies, which it said we needed aqua leaves for. And I did not fully think this through because I don't need all of these things. So I got my aqua leaves, and I should just have to use them on these toad crunchies. And there we have it, the first toad crunchies have been made. Nice. So I think I'm starting to understand how this works here, so I'm going to start trying to batch these out and cooking them all at one time the best that I can with how many tins I have, so that I can do a lot less running back and forth. And there we have it, 21 cooking, and it's really looking like this is probably going to be our fastest way of leveling for quite some time. And it turns out that these energy potions are very useful to help me picking up all these frogs. So I decided we're going to be using the last bit of our cash on supplies from these shops because they're just too useful. Like, we got potatoes, we got cheese, and they might not be useful right now, but they definitely will be when we're high level. One thing that I really just don't like about this is, since like the UI is so old because there's such old content, like it's just not very fun because I have to like hit prepare and then I have to hit create, and there's like a delay of like a tick each time, and it just really makes this method kind of tedious to do this, to just like prepare all of this for the baking portion. But it is interesting that I do get experience during this portion. I just really think that this could use a little bit of a rework to make it a little less click intensive. But with that in mind, I am trying to make them in batches, and hey, looky there, we have our next level, level 22 cooking. So this is our first batch of toad crunchies, and what's really weird is I actually don't get any experience for the baking portion of these. Alright, so we have our crunchies now made, and I just need to use these crunchies on these aqua leaves, and I'm just going to move it down here so I can just click it super fast, and there we have it, our first batch. With that, we are out of money as well, but we were able to get quite a good amount of supplies in the process. And there is 23 cooking from cooking these crunchy trays. With toad crunchies done, I decided to go ahead and start preparing some spice crunchies, which you just need 2 aqua leaves and 1 spice to prepare them. And what's interesting that I found out is once you actually make them, they're called half-made crunchies, but when you're preparing them, they're called half-baked crunchies. To finish these crunchies off, all you need is to use your spice shaker on the crunchies themselves, and there we have it, our first batch of spice crunchies and 24 cooking. So the next crunchy on the list is the worm crunchies, and I'm really starting to like these little lore dumps that they have. Like, it says, crunchies were invented accidentally by Pakame, who was Dealey's assistant before his sacking. He started a successful crunchy making business before dying in a bizarre terror bird accident. So I forgot to record actually making those crunchies, but we're on to the chocolate chip crunchies now. So fill a crunchy tray with Galley dough, heat these briefly in an oven, break up 2 bars of chocolate and mix with the balls of dough. Next, add a little gnome spice to each ball. Bake the crunchies for a short time in the oven. Top the crunchies with a sprinkling of chocolate dust to finish. A large chocolate stain covers the rest of the page. And here's those chocolate chip crunchies being prepared, as well as 25 cooking, meaning we can now make fruit batas, which is going to be our next thing that we make after making all of these crunchies. Here is the first batch of our chocolate chip crunchies on the account. A whole bunch of nice yummy cookies. Oh, and just in case you thought I was lying, trying to pull a fast one about the worm crunchies, we got them all here in the tab. And we have our first crunchy sale, 11 toad crunchies for 5k, not too bad. So this guy seems pretty interested in the crunchies, so I've just been kind of like going back and forth haggling with him and offering some pretty good deals for him. Okay, so this will do like a third the price, I guess, so 4 of these worms for 5k. Let's see if he'll take that. I really just want to move them really quick, and yeah, he apparently doesn't realize they're for a mini game, which I think is kind of interesting, because I don't know like why you would want to just like randomly buy these if you don't know about the mini game, but you know, to each their own. He is getting a very good deal for them anyways. Last, I have 3 chocolate for 1.5k. Let's go with 1.5k. I'm more than happy with the 12k that we made. And that's actually pretty nice. He's offering 5k for them. I only wanted 1.5k because I was just happy to be able to go back and start cooking. So yay, there's all the crunchies gone. Thank you very much, my person. We're back to cooking. And it turns out that he wanted me to show him how to use them, so I guess I'm teaching him gnome cooking. But that is a story for the next episode, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it, and like this video. Unless you don't like this video, then hit a dislike. I don't know, you do you.